We got our players, we are able to set the stage, and now let's bring them in for our round 9 feature match to kick things off on day number 2. In the red corner, we got Erikos Bek from Greece. Please come up. Here we got Erikos. He's one of our most experienced players. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. You're always coming well prepared to these events. You always put a lot of hours into testing. This is also why we always see you very much near the top of the standings. What did you do this time around? What's different?
Nothing different, just did the same thing as always, play test a lot and prepare for the event.
All right. Did you try a lot of different decks before you decided on what you're playing?
Yeah, I tried like four different archetypes before the event.
And how comfortable are you feeling with your deck choice?
Not very much, because it was a last minute choice. We thought it was the best deck, so we opted to change on Friday evening.
Okay, so quite late, but so far so good. You're currently 7-1, is that correct?
I'm 6-1-1.
6-1-1, okay, so very much with a shot at making the top 32. And did you count how many times would you enter the top 32 if you make it this weekend?
I think this would be my 7th or 6th time, I'm not sure.
All right, thank you very much. Please have a seat. And his opponent is Jeremy Hill from the UK. Please come up. Good morning to you.
Good morning. You right?
How are you doing today?
Not so bad. Got my morning tea, so.
How was your day yesterday? How did it go?
Not so bad. Quite stressful looking around at some of the matchups that I might get, but luckily managed to dodge some of those. So, yeah, not so bad.
So, considering the matchup that you could have had, are you familiar with Erikos?
Not particularly. I have an idea of what he might be playing, maybe, but yeah, no idea.
Don't want to give it away for the viewers here.
No.
What's your feeling going into this round?
I don't really know. Just kind of play it by ear and see how it goes, I guess. Yeah.
And what was your expectation like starting the tournament? Did you think you're going to make day 2? Did you think you're going to make the top 32?
I wasn't really sure how it would go, simply because I wasn't really sure what the top decks would be. I saw YCS Niagara, in which case Thunder Dragons did well, but then there was also the Dark World Danger, and I wasn't sure how many of that would be here, right, and Goki over here in Europe, so I was kind of not sure what the matchups would be, so kind of, yeah.
And if we go for comparisons, how many times did you crack the top 32?
I topped last year here, and then just bubbled out the last time I was here as well. So
also some experience at the top level, of course. We've also seen you at a couple of events, and very often you come with an interesting deck choice, similar this weekend as far as I remember.
Yeah, I don't really spend a lot of time playtesting, so it's basically the only thing that I know, so stick with it, I guess.
Works well so far. Yeah. Right, please have a seat. Good luck to both of you guys. We're now going to perform the die roll, please, so we can know who's going first. If you want to have a shot, yeah, just roll.
We did it at the table already.
You did it at the table already. Okay, we're going to take that. Who won the die roll? Erikos won. Do you want to go first? You go second. Okay, Erikos won the die roll, but decides to go second. That's something. And with that, I think the stage is set. Our players are getting ready. Our judges are basically making sure that they got the headphones in so they can't hear me talk, or more importantly, they can't hear Dom Galizia and Tom Payne talk. Our casters for this round, let's take you guys to them.
Good morning. Yes, welcome to round 9 at YCS London. We hope you've had that extra hour sleep and it served you well. Tom, how are you feeling this morning?
I think the extra hour sleep served me well as well.
We ready to go?
We're ready to go.
Yep, so without further ado, we've got the Erikos Bek from Greece. He's playing an unusual deck, isn't he?
He's playing
and actually, talking about
Dark
decks...
Warrior.
Yes, but with those decks, so far in 8 rounds, I think we've seen something like 12 different deck types.
Well, we have been picking them to be different, to be fair.
We have, but talk a little bit about that. Is that interesting right now?
It's very interesting.
Is there plenty of different competitive decks right now?
What I think is interesting, so what we used to have is, well, for the last couple of years, we've had our metagame the same as the US metagame. So I think when you see the events in the US and then, you kind of you decide, you think, oh, what's done well over there? And then they see our events and they go, what's done well over here? And then the meta starts to kind of define itself very clearly. But we don't have that anymore because they've obviously got the very different, well, they've got a slightly different format to us with with the Summon Sorceress in the field.
So it's coming back to that one powerful Link summon.
So yeah, it means that there's effectively just less events with the same set of cards. So no one really knows what the best deck is.
Okay.
Which is quite interesting.
And if we're looking at Jeremy Hill here, he has a recent experience. Last year he done well here. He said he was on the bubble the previous year as well. He's looking good this year.
He is looking good.
How do you feel about his deck type? How do you feel about that Spiral matchup here?
I mean, this matchup, I think, what Erikos is elected to go second. Obviously, he doesn't know what Jeremy is playing. But Jeremy is running 3 evenly matched. He's running multiple kaijus. I think he also wanted to go second. So I think he may have been caught off guard by being made to go second with a deck which is clearly built to go second.
Okay.
So yeah, normally if you're going second, as I said, you want to lose the dice roll so you don't have to tell your opponent that you want to go second. However, if both players want to go second, you want to win the dice roll so you can force your opponent to go second. But you don't actually know that when you're rolling the dice.
So Erikos has been to many YCSs.
He has.
You're very familiar with him. Talk to us a little bit about how much preparation goes into these events. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but just to touch on something, the Greek contingent here, they are renowned. The rest of the European circuit knows about the Greek contingent, knows how much effort they put in before each YCS. There's a whole bunch of them getting together regularly to play, and we're talking 7 or 8 of them. It's not one or two.
I've got a lot of respect for Erikos. He puts in a lot of practice, and it shows when he's playing the decks.
Would you pick one of these to take the match? Is there one of these that you think has an advantage against the other right now?
At the moment, I think, just based on the dice roll, I think that gives Erikos a big advantage in game 1, given his opponent's deck is clearly built to be going second. As I said, when you build your deck to go second, a lot of players, you really build your deck to go second because you think that you could, if you want to go second, you think that you can always go second. However, in this case, he's not able to go second, so
okay.
I would say that puts him at quite a big disadvantage for the first game.
So we're going to have a look at the country breakdown for you again, and we're just going to highlight what we've been talking about, basically. You can see that from this field of 1,600 players, more than 1,600 players, there's a whole bunch of people here playing Yu-Gi-Oh! This weekend. 26 of them are from Greece. Mm-hmm. Now, when we go to round 9, we can see there are still 12 of them.
They're doing pretty well.
That is...
It's not come up on the...
we're just going to put that up for you. And it should come onto the screen. We
can tell you that there are 12.
There are 12. Essentially, guys, there are 12.
We're trying to show you the country breakdown.
That is an extremely... there are an extremely good conversion rate there of the Greek players. Now, and this is a familiar pattern we're seeing as well. So, testament to them, Tom.
Testament to them, indeed.
Yeah. Let's talk about something else, Tom.
Let's talk about something else. Should we look at the deck breakdown?
I've known you.
You want to know how long you've known me?
Okay.
I don't know how long you've known me.
I think it's 11 or 12 years.
Yeah, it's more than 10.
Now, from your experience, how do you feel about making this transition to commentator? How do you feel about that?
It's quite fun. It's quite fun commentating. You get to watch all the games. I think I like being in the tournament the whole way through. And as a player, if you want to be in the tournament the whole way through, you got to win, really, or come second.
Okay. So this is a little bit less pressure, but do you miss it at all?
Pressured. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to want to play some events this year too.
And
get back in.
With that, I think we're ready to go to the table now, so let's head over to the table. So yeah, here we have it. Erikos on the left in that red corner, and Jeremy on the right in the blue corner.
It should be the blue corner, but the judge's red T-shirt makes it look like the red corner.
It does, doesn't it?
And his red cap.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a throw off there. It looks like we're just loading those hands in.
And I think Jeremy does get to start on 8,000 life points.
How are they feeling right now, Tom, this morning? This is day 2. They're at day 2 of the YCS. They've played 8 rounds yesterday. First round today. How are they feeling? Do they know at this point they need to just keep winning at this, essentially? Well, essentially, yes, they do, but...
I mean, my normal feeling is round 1 on Sunday is I'm happy that I've made it to the venue on time. That's my main worry. Is I'm like,
So the extra hour sleep would have served you well.
it's the extra hour's sleep, but it's just the fact that you have to get it. You actually have to travel there and get there before 9 o'clock. I don't think I've ever missed the round, but it's just that extra, like, every other round you're just sat in the venue waiting. But for this particular round, you have to be there on time, and you might miss it if your train's late or something.
I'm extremely glad that our players are here on time.
It is good.
And here we are, we're starting the match. Jeremy starts with that copy of Terraforming.
So I think this might take Erikos back a bit. He probably wasn't fully expecting a spiral deck, but he'll definitely know what to do against it. As I said, one of the nice things, if you go second, it doesn't really matter that you don't know what your opponent's playing, because you get to see what they've done before your turn. Erikos is probably not very happy with his hand.
Okay.
If I was him, I wouldn't be very happy with the hand. And to top that off, you're going to see the Spiral Gear Drone, Blast from the Past, which lets you stack your opponent's top 3 cards.
Yeah, the Spiral deck was really popular, wasn't it? It was really strong as well.
Yeah, so... Oh, that's really nasty as well. I think he just put a Twin Twister on top of Erikos' deck. And that's really not a card that Erikos wants
to be drawing.
To be drawing at all. So, yeah, I'm not sure he's going to be happy with that. Not only because... normally, what the drone did so powerfully is not only does it let you see the information about what the top card is for your opponent to let you trigger all your spiral effects, but it lets you pick the worst card for them to draw, which in this case he knows to be the Twin Twister. I think it was Twin Twister. I don't want to go overboard.
It looked like a
it
green
looked
card.
like a Twin Twister to me, and we should probably check that Erikos is playing Twin Twister before we make the claim. He's playing three Twin
copies,
Twister, so it would make sense.
And there we see the link summon from Jeremy.
And there's another thing now for Erikos is he can't do the. There's some small solace in game 1 if you get completely taken apart by your opponent and they show you a first turn play that is worthy of winning the game that they don't know what you're playing. At least.
Then you're concealing that information, aren't you?
But you can't do that if your opponent's played the Spiral Gear Drone.
Because he's seen through your deck.
Yeah, they've seen the top 3 cards, so that's... Erikos doesn't actually know what all those cards were, but you probably guess that they will know what you're playing after that. So here we're going to see some of the old-fashioned spiral combos. Well, actually, they're not old-fashioned. They're fairly new. Cause
yeah.
They used to... The combos used to be a little bit smoother because you had the... you had 3 copies of...
But they really get
Resort.
their gears going, don't they?
Yeah. But now with only 1 copy of Resort, if you use Terraforming to search, you need to actually shuffle it back with the Unicorn before you can use it again. Before you can use the Master Plan. And Master Plan is the one that you really want to resolve.
Yes. And Jeremy's just looking really confident. He's really building that momentum here.
Well, he's also happy. He's given his opponent a Twin Twister for next turn, which isn't going to do anything.
He's really feeling good. Starting to build up.
So yeah, Erikos going to get the Ibli given to him as well, most likely. I'm not sure he's going to be too fussed about having the Ibli because he runs his own copies of Nightmare Mermaid anyway. So if he is being given the Ibli, he can just link it away unless he's extra linked. And I'm not sure whether the hand of Jeremy is going to be strong enough to create an extra link.
Okay.
I'm not sure how efficient Spiral is at creating an extra link. I think the idea behind Erikos' deck was that without Nightmare Goblin anymore, when you're playing this big combo deck, which usually was known for setting up strong first turn boards, instead without the Goblin, the first turn board is not as intimidating as it used to be. The extra link is easier to break up. So you say, alright, I'll just go second and OTK my opponent. But there is a bit of a shoe in the works if your opponent sets up a powerful board like we're going to see now.
Yeah, he's just really building that. He's piece by piece assembling it, isn't he? And all the while Erikos is just staring down the field.
Yeah, he's got Monster Reborn.
How's he feeling about the matchup though? He's looking exactly at what Jeremy Hill's deck's doing now. How does Erikos feel about the matchup now?
I think he's probably fine with this matchup in particular. I think he's gonna know that if he goes second, that this sort of deck he's gonna have to play against. The view of certain players on the Spiral deck is it does cool combos, but there are other decks that sort of do similar cool combos and do them slightly better.
Okay.
So maybe he's thinking, right, Spiral's fine, you know, I'm expecting that there might be Goki, that there might be, you know, another Dark Warrior deck.
Yep.
So if you're playing Spiral, they're going to do similar sorts of things, which I'm prepared for. And I think, yeah, the opinion of some people was that Spiral does similar things to these other deck, and actually it doesn't do them quite as well.
Okay.
It does have some other cool options, which is probably what means people bring it to the event. So it has some cool options like Spiral Tough, which essentially cards which allow you to push through back row, sort of inbuilt into the engine. And the Spiral Resort is a really powerful card against back row because your Spiral monsters can't be targeted. So it does have that advantage when you are trying to push through other decks. But in terms of just pure combo power,
so
it's probably not as good.
So we're talking more about playstyles as well, and how you feel about playing against the other deck types that there are out there. And would it be a choice as to how you feel about playing certain types of deck? Is that what we're saying here? Is that why the Spiral deck is still seeing play?
Yeah, I mean, some people just like it. They've played with it for a while. Why not, you know? So we're going to, you know, if you played... So as Jeremy said, you know, if you've not played with the other decks and you're more confident and fluid with the Spiral deck, then by all means you should be taking that deck.
Yep.
And we often see players who... It's kind of like... I mean, from my perspective, I always like to try and pick the best deck for the tournament. But a lot of players will have their favourite deck that they play. And then, in fact, when that deck happens to be that, you often get players winning tournaments sort of, you know, when their deck happens to be the best deck for the tournament and they're the best with it because they've always played it, then you get that person winning the tournament.
Do you have a favourite
Fairly
deck,
often.
Tom? At the moment, if you were here playing instead of commentating, what would you have brought to the table?
I either would have been playing a similar deck to Erikos, or I would have been playing the Danger FTK deck that we saw Jesse playing round 1 today, I think.
That was a very powerful. That looked very powerful, that deck.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
I really like the Spiral deck though. The theme is pretty cool.
You like James Bond?
Big fan of James Bond. Big fan.
Okay.
Who doesn't like cool gadgets and cars and...
Yeah, they are pretty cool. So Erikos now gets his twin twisters, which I'm sure he's very happy with.
I'm pretty...
So what is... should we have a look at the set? Oh, the set's called by the grave. That's really nasty for Erikos. Because he might have thought that the twin can deal with the Spiral Resort and the set, but then the set's called by the grave. So if he discards the Malicious, then he'll lose the Malicious to the Called by the Grave, which is really something he does not want.
So we're
to
saying
happen.
that Jeremy's really got him quite pinned at the moment. Pinned back.
Yeah, I mean, that interaction, I mean, it's probably what he thinks his opponent has, but I don't really see what else you're going to go for with the Twin Twister anyway. So, yeah, first of all, we'll see the Kaiju to deal with the Trigate Wizard. Seems a very reasonable thing to do.
Stops that powerful negate.
Yeah. So he's still got the other interruption in the form of...
He's just trying to shut off a little bit of those effects, right?
Yeah, so now you need cards to interrupt your opponent's interrupts, essentially. So yeah, here we see this. I think this Called by the Grave is really going to set Erikos back a fair bit.
Yeah, that Destiny Hero Malicious is a real good card. And
oh, I love Malicious
fan
at the
favourite.
moment. Yeah, it's really strong at the moment.
It's been so good over the years. And
multiple link materials, like multiple warrior link materials, is incredibly strong.
And it just has always been around. It's like one of those cards that people have always gone back to. We were talking about this yesterday with Armageddon Knight and Dark Grepher. Obviously,
they are friends, Armageddon Knight and Destiny Hero Malicious.
Yep.
They are the best of friends.
A lot of good synergy. And here we see it. He's
so Erikos making quite a nice play there, which actually is not a nice play because it's against the rules.
Oh,
he wanted
so
to
what's happened there? Tell us.
Well, he wanted to use the effect of Spiral Super Agent to destroy his opponent's Last Resort. And that would be quite a nice thing to do, because if you destroy the Last Resort, then the only Spiral card left for the Sleeper to target would be itself. And when Sleeper destroys itself, it destroys your whole board.
Okay.
So Jeremy's really not going to want to be doing that. However, the effect of Spiral Super Agent to destroy a spell or trap only triggers when it's summoned off the effect of a Spiral card, and he summoned it with a Monster Reborn, which is not a Spiral card.
So that was a bit of a
I mean, there was
not optimal
There was
outcome.
nothing better to Monster
Okay.
Reborn, so it doesn't
So
matter
maybe
too
it was
much.
his best option.
It might have been his best option. He might have wanted to Monster Reborn a Link monster instead, possibly. But in any event, I think these cards are just going to get destroyed by Sleeper and cause Erikos to pack up and go to game 2, I think.
Okay.
He can't play his last card,
He's
which
having
is
a think.
World Legacy Succession.
He passes. So here we go. Here we have it. It looks like Jeremy's going to
does.
seal out this match, and he does.
Yeah.
Oh no! Sorry.
It's going to be your favourite card, Dom. What's he going to make now?
Borrelsword,
There
right?
we go.
There it is. There it is. And there we see it with that Borrelsword. He takes game 1. Jeremy really grinding that out. He made the drone. The drone was the.
I think Drone was pretty clutch, giving Erikos that dead Twin Twister, accompanied with a fairly
I think
weak
the call
hand.
by the grave though. He tried to even use the Twin Twister, but that call by the grave shuts down the malicious and.
Yeah, Caught by the Grave was definitely not the card that Erikos wanted to see there.
So he just continued to build that field. We saw it piece by piece, like you said, assembling it, doing what other decks do, making a field is quite intimidating. And even when Erikos tried to get back in by sending away the Trigate with the Kaiju, it wasn't quite enough.
Not quite enough, no.
Couldn't pull himself back into
I
it.
think Erikos had a fairly weak hand in that scenario, especially with the. I suppose he did have a way to access his malicious. You really want to be opening with the Armageddon Knight or the Greffa, which they're playing 3 copies of both of, or Vision Hero Vion. In this deck, it looks like malicious is the centerpiece, and not drawing any way to access it is not ideal. So we're going to see.
Yeah, what are we thinking about the side decks now? What's going to come in here, Tom?
I mean, Jeremy's probably going to be assuming. I think I saw him take out those copies of Evenly Matched, so he's probably assuming that he's going to be made to go first again. But I don't actually know what he's going to side for that, if I'm totally honest. Because maybe Book of Eclipse.
Okay.
Book of Eclipse is a very versatile card. As long as you can activate it before your opponent's, it doesn't affect link monsters. But if your opponent summons 2 monsters with which they want to link summon, putting them face down is often stronger than sending them to the graveyard. Because if you send them to the graveyard, they might be able to get them out again.
Okay.
Whereas if they're face down, they're basically stuck forever.
Okay.
So something like Destiny Hero Malicious, for example, if you destroy your opponent's Malicious, they can just summon another one from the deck.
Yeah, it's that versatility, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you set it face down with Book of Eclipse, even though your opponent's going to draw some cards in the end phase, they can't use them in the end phase. You'll then have your turn in which you can assemble another big board.
So it's buying you a turn.
It's buying you a turn, yeah.
Which is very good in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh yeah, a whole turn is a lot. But we don't actually know whether Erikos is going first or second. But I'm seeing some cherries. So I'm guessing.
He's doing that familiar thing where a whole bunch of cards get shuffled in and then a whole bunch of cards get removed at the end.
Yeah, it's
kind
called
of
smoke screening.
Smoke screening.
So you shuffle your entire side deck into your main deck.
And
then you just take out 15 cards.
Okay, so you're pulling out 15 cards, but your opponent doesn't actually know how many were original side deck cards and how many are
exactly.
Okay.
So it does require you to have a reasonably good knowledge of your main deck.
I must admit, I never really smoke screened.
No, I could never really be bothered.
But then again, I never really sided unless it was considerable amount of cards. So it would be 6 or 7 at a time. I don't know how you feel about that. Would you side in 1 or 2 cards? Would you ever side in 1 or 2 cards, Tom?
Yes.
You would?
I mean, I would.
What are the odds? Come on, Tom, you're the mathematician.
I mean, I wouldn't have a side deck plan, that if there was a popular deck, I wouldn't have a plan to side in 1 or 2 cards against it. I would have a plan to side in more. But if I'm playing against another deck which I wasn't so prepared for, or I didn't think was so relevant, and I happened to be playing against it, then I might look through my side deck and think, what do I want to side in?
And it could be that something in your...
It could be that there's just a couple of cards.
There's just 1 or 2 cards in your deck that are not going to serve you well. They've got to come out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So we're seeing a slightly
so here we go with
less powerful start from Jeremy here with a set Infinite Impermanence.
Yep. Not... and let's load it. Let's see what
Erikos' sixth card is. I think he's probably setting that Monster Reborn before using the effect of Danger Nessie. Get to see the new Danger cards again.
Yeah, they're really cool, aren't they? I think that's a really cool theme.
You like him?
I do, and I mean, you know, they've all got that similar effect to reveal it, and
See, I'm always scared with the danger cards that what's going to happen is that they discard themselves.
okay.
I mean, I know they all have discard effects, but
Some of
more
them-
often than not, the one you want is for them to discard another card and summon itself.
Okay.
So I think people running a small danger engine, what people play is they just play the ones which have really beneficial effects when they discard themselves. But if you want a big danger package, you have to play cards like Dogman, which don't really do what you want them to when they discard themselves. You just basically discard a card from your hand, which is quite sad.
And talking about that new danger archetype, do you want to be drawing?
Oh, he just discarded the malicious. Sorry, that was really, really good for Erikos there.
Was that a bit clutch there, Tom?
Oh, definitely, yeah. He really wanted, so discarding a malicious to draw another card and summon a monster without using your normal summon seems pretty good to me. I don't know whether Jeremy chose to set the Call by the Grave or the Infinite Permanent, so he chose to set the Call by the Grave.
There we see the Call by the Grave.
The Call by the Grave on malicious is pretty mean for the
Takes
for
it
this
away.
deck. Malicious is a really clutch card in this deck. It's one of the key
So that was a
engine
real
pieces.
good shutdown from Jeremy there.
Yeah, I think it's going to set Erikos back a bit. So we're going to see what other targets he has. So he's got a couple of... So yeah, I think Destiny Hero Malicious is definitely the primary target. And I mean, his Armageddon Knight's not been allowed to resolve there. But
Is that going to just slow him down more than anything? It won't stop him, will it?
I think it's going to put a significant damper on what he can achieve this turn.
Okay.
But I mean, having said that, Jeremy didn't really achieve anything last turn anyway, so he's probably fine. So I think his set was the Monster Reborn, and the only target for Monster Reborn at the moment is a Danger Nessie. So what he might be thinking about doing is Link summoning and then reborning the Armageddon Knight to make use of the Armageddon Knight again.
Well, we see he's making a Link summon here. Look.
That is a Link summon. And then he'll be able to send... Well, so he's got a couple of targets which are not
So we see
malicious.
the Phoenix.
So sending malicious would definitely not be something you want to do here, because malicious effects are being negated by Call by the Grave. So had it been it's sometimes like the main thing that Call by the Grave there was doing was banishing the malicious to get it out of the graveyard. You can't use its effect, but you also need to remember that the effect is still negated for later this turn.
Powerful card, that Call by
Powerful
the
card
Grave.
indeed. So we'll see what his choice is here, and it's a Phantom Knight of Ancient Cloak, which is presumably going to be used to search the Phantom Knight's trap card, Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine.
Those are good.
Those are fun, I like them.
Yeah, I really liked playing those with Burning Abyss.
Oh yeah, that was a cool deck. I think one of the things which confused people about the... so I think people just remembered that the Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak could search monsters, and in fact that's wrong. It searches any The Phantom Knights card. And
So adding those traps is...
yeah, so some of the traps have the Phantom Knights, and they're the ones which summon themselves as monsters.
Yeah.
But I think people often forgot that because the trap people always used was Fogblade, and that was not the Phantom Knights card. It was just a Phantom Knights card, so it couldn't be searched by Ancient Cloak.
So we really see Erikos here starting to build a graveyard. Talk a little bit about that, Tom. How versatile are graveyard plays, especially with these Dark Warrior decks? We haven't seen one so far on the feature matches.
Yeah, they've got a lot of nice targets for Armageddon Knight and Dark Grepher. So you've got Destrudo, you've got Malicious, and you've got the Phantom Knights. So I think at this point the only useful target... So he can send Malicious for next turn, but he can't... Malicious won't be doing anything this turn if he sends it, so he'll probably send a Destrudo. Unless he's got another target in his main deck, which I'm missing. Oh, he's got a Zephyros as well, which he could send to.
Blackwing Zephyros, yes, I
Blackwing
remember that
Zephyros.
one.
Or a Blackwing Steam the Cloak. Aha, that's pretty cool. I think it's an uncommon enough card that his opponent wants to read what it does. So
That's always a good sign.
yeah, so it's being picked up a little bit more in... It saw a little bit of play in the OCG, so I think it's got a once per duel effect as you can tribute a monster to special summon it from your graveyard. It can't be used as a synchro. It's got some restriction on the synchro material part, which obviously, like, when it was released, it was a big restriction, but now no one really bothers with the fact that it can't be used as a synchro material except to synchro summon Blackwings, because you're not really interested in synchro summoning anything anyway. And you can tribute a monster to special summon it from the graveyard. That's a once per duel effect. And then every time it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you get a token. So good for link summoning.
So yeah, Erikos just really starting to turn the screw here, I think. How he's building momentum. I think we're looking at Jeremy's body language here. He seems quite content, but he's not really got much option in his hand, has he?
He needs to draw something next turn to be able to do anything.
And
so I'm interested to see what Erikos can piece together. But
and what are we thinking? What's a good draw for Jeremy?
terraforming or the field spell or a drone. But I don't know where Erikos' plan is to go with this. So he might just be summoning a firewall and then attacking. Unless he's got a better plan. And in which case, again, the Spiral Field spell is a very powerful card because it stops your Spiral cards from being targeted.
Okay.
So that would stop the firewall from interrupting you. So he might be planning on using the firewall to add something, but that is not the case.
So we see the battle phase here, and he pushes through with the mermaid.
And the firewall for
And the firewall.
3,500. So, yeah, if Jeremy were to draw into the field spell or a terraforming to search the field spell, that would probably be ideal for him right now. But most of the cards in his deck will not
So we
get him
see
out
it.
of the
Here it is.
situation.
It's a green card, Tom.
Is it a green card? It's a Foolish Barrel Goods. I don't think that's...
Is that going to be helpful for
I don't
Jeremy
think that's going to be
here?
helpful for him at all. Because he's only got one Spiral Monster, which is... Well, he's got the Spiral Sleeper, but he's not going to have enough Spiral cards in his graveyard
Okay.
to summon it. So effectively, he's got one Spiral Monster.
So it's looking good for Erikos here, and I think the Greek contingent in the audience here starting to look on,
Yeah,
hoping for the match, and there it is. So
there it is.
1-1. Erikos takes the second game. We see a little bit of movement from those Greek fans in the audience.
So yeah, I mean, not a massive play from Erikos, but
It was enough.
it was enough.
He managed to build. He managed to manipulate the graveyard as well. He even after being shut down by that call by the grave. So he done really well to just continue with his play.
I think
And
he just needed to show any sort of pressure for his opponent to... I mean, Jeremy was effectively passing for 2 turns, and
Okay.
realistically, you can't do that.
And
against,
against a deck in this day and age.
yeah, you can't be passing
No.
for 2 turns.
So there we have it. 1-1. Erikos with the second duel.
So now we have the decision from... I mean, I'm assuming Jeremy will make his opponent go first. It's really weird to see these players playing combo decks electing for their opponents to go first, but Erikos has made him go first twice, right? So I think he's aware that Erikos' plan is to go second. So he may very well... And his plan was to go second, so he's probably going to make his opponent go first. Even though, to me, I see these... I see someone summoning an Armageddon Eye and sending Malicious. I would be concerned of what they can do on their first turn. But if your opponent's made you go first twice...
It's a clear message,
That's
isn't
a clear
it?
message.
They want to play second.
They want to play second.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how good Erikos is at sort of adapting to the fact that he's going to go first and see what combos he can come up with. So there are a lot of good link tools at the moment. You can make Gumblar Dragon, you can extra link your opponent. As we saw the Goki deck doing yesterday, ending with that immensely powerful board of Gumblar discard 4 plus Trigate. That's a really tough board to get around. You've got 2 cards, one of which is going to be negated. In the match yesterday, he'd also used an Ash. So he was down to 1 card, staring down at a card which negates any 1 card, which is quite a tricky situation. So we'll see whether Erikos' deck is as efficient as the Goki deck in setting up
Well,
a board
here we
as
are.
powerful as that.
Here we go. They're just about ready.
Assuming that Erikos is in fact made to go first.
I guess we're about to find out. Tom.
to find out.
So it's they're both 6-1-1.
They're both
6 wins,
well,
1 loss.
Erikos is 6-1-1. It might be that his opponent is 6-2, or
I
what does it say?
I
He's
checked up
6-1-1.
for us
He
earlier.
checked up.
So he's 6-1-1 as well, and
6-1-1
here
as
we
well,
are.
and here we are.
Round 9
So I feel like
Game
this
3.
is a must-win
for both.
for both.
Yeah, I mean, and there's plenty of time on the clock there, so we...
Has the clock frozen?
Oh.
Do they freeze the clock when they're putting the cards in, maybe?
Yep.
So I don't know who's starting here. Jeremy's starting. I was
How do
wrong.
we feel about the hands? Jeremy has the Ash Blossom, the ever powerful card. And there's the Foolish straight away.
So Erikos' hand would have been immensely powerful if he'd been going first.
So Jeremy opted to go first.
Jeremy opted to go first. Honestly, that surprises me because Erikos had made him go first twice already. And his deck is clearly built, well, his main deck at least is clearly built to go second. But maybe if he knows he's going first, he's happy to side appropriately for his going first strategy.
Okay.
So often I think if you're going to build a deck and you're going to build a deck to go first or second, you would be able to build a more powerful deck if your deck was guaranteed to go first every time. But your deck is never going to be guaranteed to go first every time. So that's why people can put all their eggs in the basket of going second, and maybe they think their deck is slightly more powerful if it goes second every time, even though going second is probably seen as a disadvantage. If you build your deck to go second, then maybe it's not anymore.
So he's adding that big red.
He is adding the big red. Honestly, I don't think Jeremy's going to be that happy with his hand at the moment.
Okay.
So Spiral Tough is a good Spiral card, but it does not allow you to...
So what would he wanted to have seen, Tom? What would he... So he's opted to go first.
Yeah.
There must be a reason.
Well,
what is he wanting to draw
You need
into?
the drone.
Okay.
Well, you need some way of looking at your opponent's top card, really. Because now he's going to have to guess what his opponent's top card is with Double Helix. Now, realistically, Erikos is playing about, well over half monsters. He's playing 40 monsters, right, out of 60 cards. So he's got a 2/3 chance. But you really don't want you don't want to lose the game a third of the time. It's really not ideal to be losing, like not being able to resolve your combo a third of the time. So you really do want to be able to see the card first. However, it's worked out for him. It used to be when you played against Pendulums, because Pendulum played like 35 monsters or something ridiculous. It was almost guaranteed, but against other decks it wasn't quite guaranteed, and it felt very, very unsafe using the Helix blind. And it is fairly unsafe using the Helix blind, but it needs must, I guess.
And we just see Jeremy working through the options here in his head. He's just animated a little bit on...
Yeah, I don't think this is kind of the ideal Spiral combo anymore. I mean, it used to be the way that the Spiral combos started, was with the Double Helix. But now I think just setting up that Sleeper plus Last Resort was pretty powerful. But I think nowadays, compared to what decks can do, setting up Sleeper Last Resort, even though it is very powerful, is not enough anymore most of the time. But we'll see what Erikos can do. So we know his top card is... I mean, my opinion of his hand is it's pretty good. He's got some redundancy with the Junk Forward and the Red Layer, both being cards that you can summon when you've got no monsters. And we saw that his top card was another Junk Forward, so he's effectively got 3 cards that all do the same thing and don't really have any use when drawn together.
So Jeremy's gone into the Deco Talker.
Yeah, that's just because he wants to get his master plan in the graveyard, not really for any other exciting reason.
So is he continuing to build here? What are we thinking his end field will be like?
At the moment, I can't see anything more exciting than an end of Sleeper plus Last Resort.
Okay.
So he knows his opponent's top card already, so he can definitely resolve the Super Agent. But he's already had to banish his... let me get the card name. Quick Fix. He's already had to banish his Quick Fix.
It was Quick Fix indeed.
So that does limit the combos that you can do. Oh, I suppose you can end with a Firewall too, which is alright.
See the big red.
Yeah, so he's going to end with Firewall as well. So this is...
pretty good.
So he's going to have
Firewall Dragons
one bounce and 1 pop. So Firewall Dragon's like insanely powerful when you're going through like long strings of combos on your opponent's turn. As an interruption, it's fairly average, I would say. It's comparable to a compulsory evacuation device, right?
So he's got the Firewall, he's got the Ash in hand.
And he's got the Ash.
So how's he feeling? Pretty good, or?
Yeah, I think he's probably feeling pretty fine with this. It's not like... It wasn't an explosive turn, but because you've drawn that defensive card already, I think he's probably fine. I think he's probably just happy that the double helix hit.
So he offered his opponent the cut there. And that looks like a decent position for Jeremy.
Yeah, I'd say he's going to be happy. So what we have to see now is whether
So there's the draw. It's now
how he chooses to use his interruptions against Erikos. So he's got multiple interruptions.
He's got the special. He can special summon the Greffer by discarding.
Yeah, he can special summon the Greffer by discarding the Malicious. He's got. So what's interesting is, I mean, Junk Forward is you normally can't use 2 of them, but if the first one gets destroyed, then you can.
Okay.
Right, because it's not once a turn. It just says if you've got no monsters, you can summon it. So normally you can't use 2 because you summon one, then you have a monster. But if that one gets killed, then you can use the next one. So it's gonna be really important how Jeremy chooses. I mean, if he had perfect knowledge of Erikos' hand, I think he could very easily play around everything Erikos has got.
Okay.
But he does not have perfect knowledge of Erikos' hand, so he's going to have to make some decisions, and they might, they might work out, they might not. So there will be some
consideration as to when he'll play his interrupt.
Yeah, exactly. So he could, for example, use the Sleeper now. I mean, he's probably not going to, but he could use the Sleeper right now to destroy both of the monsters that Erikos has. He could use the Ash right now. He could, he could wait until Erikos makes a Link Summon and then use the Firewall Dragon. He's got a lot of different options, and I think, honestly, I wouldn't expect him to be super duper experienced in situations like this and figure out when is the best time to use his interruptions.
So there we see the Blackwing Zephyros.
I think maybe that's just a bait to see if his opponent's card is called by the grave, because he doesn't want to get his Malicious called by the grave yet again. But I guess we'll find out. So
very versatile, that Blackwing.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty good card.
Returns the Armageddon Knight to the hand, special summons itself on the graveyard.
So this is quite nice. So the Cerberus is co-linked now to the Firewall Dragon, so it is going to draw a card with its effect. And it is going to bait out the Firewall Dragon, for sure.
That was nice. Very cunning from Erikos there.
Yeah, although it can be ashed. Because it's co-linked, its effect now includes the effect of drawing a card.
Okay.
So now you can. So if your Nightmare monster is not co-linked, then your opponent can't negate it with Ash. But if it is co-linked, then it can be negated with Ash because its effect includes the effect to draw a card now. So he's got the choice of using Firewall to bounce it. Because, I mean, Firewall's being forced out, so he either needs to Ash it or use the Firewall, and he's chosen to use the Firewall interruption. Oh, that was a pretty good draw for Erikos there.
What did he draw, Tom?
He drew Destrudo. Normally it's a card you want to send to the graveyard, not a card you want to draw. But because he's got the Greffer in his hand, he can use it as discard fodder for Dark Greffer. So that's pretty good.
So we're really seeing these warriors come to Dark Greffer and Armageddon Knight. They're really going to serve Erikos well, it seems.
Oh yeah, I mean those are the real engine cards of the deck, the Greffer and the Armageddon Knight. They're definitely the fun ones too. So I'm expecting another Junk Forward, because why not? You can just summon it for free. So there's still multiple interrupts coming from Jeremy, being the Sleeper and the Ash.
So how's Jeremy feeling now? He's, he used his Firewall to send away.
Yeah, I think monsters. The Firewall was fairly cleanly dealt with Erikos there.
Yep.
If I'm honest, I would have preferred the use of the Ash from Jeremy because it would have denied Erikos a draw.
Okay.
That Sleeper is pretty nasty for Erikos. So again, it is always hard to tell exactly when the best time to use your interrupts are. But using the Sleeper now, given what we know about Erikos' hand, is going to completely shut him down. Because he's only now got a Malicious that I can see. Unless he knows something that I don't. So he's gone straight away to use the Malicious. But as far as I can tell, he's already used his normal summon. And...
So who's in the driving seat now, Tom?
Who's in the driving seat? I mean, Jeremy's still got an Ash in his hand, so I'm going to say Jeremy.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his Malicious, but I don't know what else. Oh, he's got Destrudo. He's got Destrudo. So has he got any Synchro monsters in his graveyard, in his extra deck? Yes, he does. Ah, I missed that one. So he can make Yazi, which is a pretty fun card. I mean, it's mostly people, I think, thought some of its effects were pretty good, being the can't be targeted, and it has the effect to destroy itself and another card your opponent controls. But then at some point, this the worm monster Maramara came out, and Maramara can produce tokens. And but that ash is pretty grim.
Yep. And that we see, that's a shutdown that you were
That's
talking
the
about
real
with
shutdown,
the
yeah. So
was Jeremy, do you feel he'd done well to hold it back in the end?
yeah, I mean, that worked out exceptionally well for him. Because now Erikos has just got pretty much nothing left other than the malicious. And I think maybe he's just putting Destrudo on the bottom, because maybe he shuffled it in by mistake. It's supposed to go to the bottom of the deck. Yeah.
So Jeremy's really gaining the momentum here, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, Erikos has paid half his life points, which makes the job of attacking for game substantially easier.
I think it could be that Jeremy is going to assemble the pieces needed. And there's the handshake.
Yeah.
So Jeremy takes it 2-1. And we see that Erikos was trying to assemble something, but it wasn't quite enough thanks to that Ash Blossom from
Thanks
Jeremy.
to the Ash Blossom, yeah. I mean, I don't know what Erikos would have ended up with without the Ash, but it may not have been enough to get through Sleeper Plus.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that in the post-match analysis, Tom. So there we have it, round 9. Erikos trying to push in that game 3, but Jeremy just at the end there with that Ash shutdown from the hand. How do you feel that match went, Tom? Do you feel like Erikos could have done something slightly different? Do you feel like Jeremy played really well to use the firewall first in that decisive game 3?
Well, if he'd used the Ash, then Erikos wouldn't have... I mean, it's really hard to tell, because you don't know what your opponent's got in their hand, you don't know what they've got. You know, you don't know what they're doing. So, I mean, if he'd used the Ash first in that scenario, Erikos wouldn't have drawn the Destrudo, he wouldn't have been able to make the Yazi. So...
It was really good play, though. I mean... It was obvious they both didn't have exactly the cards they would have liked building their decks before this event.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremy's his board wasn't like super amazing. It wasn't the best like explosive combo you've seen. But I think when you combine the cards he had with the extra interruption in the form of the Ash, it was 3 interrupts is a lot.
Well, game one was really good. The drone was sort of the MVP. Looked at the top card of the deck, he knew it was the Twisters. Erikos even tried to make that Twin Twisters useful by discarding the malicious, but Jeremy had the call by the grave as an answer for that.
Yeah, that's a really horrible thing to see when the main thing he wanted to do was to put the malicious in the graveyard, and then the call by the grave just shut it down.
Yeah, I mean, he just really shut him down that first game. Erikos did come back into it, again, not optimally. You wouldn't have said that he was fully content with the field he assembled, but it was enough. He had the mermaid.
In the second game. Yeah, I mean, basically, his opponent just pretty much bricked. If you're playing a spiral deck and you don't summon any monsters, you've not done well.
And then as we see in that game 3, Jeremy with all of the answers. Basically, he had the firewall, he had the Ash Blossom, he used them really well, and he takes the match. So, hope you enjoyed round 9. We're ready for the interview with Oliver.
Thank you very much, Tom. This was an exciting match to watch. I was actually interacting with the chat, and they also had a really good time seeing this going back and forth between you two. Erikos won the die roll. He can decide if he wants to go first. He says, you go first. What was going on in your head in that moment?
I was very confused because I knew he was playing a 60-card deck, and the only 60-card decks I've seen the whole tournament have been the Dark World FTK, and so making me go first was a bit unusual. I've been playing a going second deck the whole tournament. Mm-hmm. This is the first time I've actually been made to go first the whole tournament. Right. So Spirals normally can do a much better board turn 1, but because I'm playing the going second build, I didn't quite have the whole all of the different cards that I would need to make the much bigger board.
So if you had won the die roll, you would have decided to also go second.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I have to admit, I was considering it with him because he was playing 60 cards. I assumed it was the FTK, so at that point it was like, well, I'm not going to let him go first and attempt to kill me. So yeah, I was thinking for the first time of choosing to go first then, but I'm just kind of annoyed I messed up the combo game 3 because
Just walk through the matches one by one. They let you go first, but still you're getting control over the first game. How did that go? How did that feel for you as well?
Yeah, I was just happy he didn't have the hand trap. As soon as the board was established, I was fairly confident. Like, it's possible to break that board because it's much weaker than the normal spiral board, but it's unlikely. Yeah. So as soon as basically the double helix and the master plan went through, I felt very, very safe. Yeah, that was just kind of it.
So you both go to side decking. What did you change in your deck?
I sided in Gammas because even though he made me go first, I still wasn't sure if he was playing an FTK variant or a variant that, even if it was going second, could FTK with the side deck. So I sided in Gammas so that then if he made me go first, it kind of protects me against hand traps that I've seen other people siding in, like Droll, because it hits Goki and various things, and potentially Ghost Ogre. And then if he goes first, it's the only hand trap, unless he makes Azafoth, which a lot of people have been doing, they can't really stop it. So it's like the catch-all no matter which way I go.
I absolutely love these diagrams where basically like, so if he does this, I need to go here, but if he does that, I need to go there. Yeah. And this is always the difference maker for me when you are talking to someone after the match and they can basically run you through all the options, you know that they put in the work leading up to this tournament. So you did have a good feeling, you did have a good grip, come up with a good side decking strategy. You still lose the second game. Some would say Erikos came back. How did you feel after that second game?
I didn't feel too bad, actually. The second game was rough just because I just never opened a play. My only real play was to summon Super Agent, like hit for 1/9, and then that was kind of it. So I didn't really sweat too much. It's kind of, it happens. Again, I'm used to going second and getting the second card, or the extra card rather. So yeah, I just kind of, it happens, go to game 3, see what happens.
And in that third game, the casters were really giving you credit. They said like you played this masterfully, had a lot of options, but still like the way you played was also pretty big actually.
I actually kind of felt that I misplayed a lot. I should have been able to do much better with that hand. I chose to go first because I know it sounds dumb. Again, just in case, I would assume there's no way it was an FTK after the 2 rounds. Right. But just in case, because it's the only build of that deck I've seen all weekend has been the FTK, chose to go first. And it's not the judge's fault at all. I was being a bit slow, so the judge was telling me to hurry up, and I got the slow poly warning. Right. And so then I was like, no, and sped up to do it. And because of that, there was quite a few misplays that I did that then it left me a lot more vulnerable. Luckily it worked out, saving the Ash for the Yazzie instead of the Mali, so he couldn't summon the Mermare. I'm assuming the only reason he went for that is because he was playing the Mermare build. Yeah,
but this was one of the things where everybody's like, it's really, really smart of you holding it back. So they were giving you credit for that.
Okay. That was the one thing that I was happy with. But yeah.
And what was it like sitting in our feature match arena with the lights, people from the Comic-Con just walking by, and then, I'm going to check that out, and then suddenly strangers are sitting there and watching you play?
I didn't actually notice it at all. I just noticed my buddies standing there now. I didn't even notice that anyone was really there until afterwards. It was pretty fun. Crayford, one of the judges, is one of the guys that I know. So it was just kind of, it was very relaxed. It was fun. It was, yeah.
So you were really in the zone pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. So now you're very much in competition. What are the odds for you? What do you think? Is this deck ready to take the entire tournament?
No. I don't think it has the right matchups against various decks, especially because I'm playing a going second deck, and I know there is stuff like Goki and like the FTK. It's not a good time for a going second deck, but basically I didn't have enough time to work out all of the first turn combos to feel I mean, I know what they all are, but to feel confident doing it for potentially 11 rounds plus top cut. Right. So I knew that Altergeist would see more play because there was Thunder Dragons. Sky Strike is obviously huge, and I can't remember the last time I dropped a match to them. So my plan is, if you give me a back row deck, I'm great. Anything else, well, let's just hope. All right.
Yeah. If you're rooting for the underdog, Jeremy's making a very strong case that you should be rooting for him. He's basically selling himself short here. Best of luck for the rest of the tournament.
Thank you very much.
Would love to see you again. Thank you very much. I just actually walked through the top tables and I saw like all the named players. We got Boden Temnik, we got Rafael Nevin very much on top of the field. We got Christopher Nielsen from Denmark, who's also doing well again. Like all of these high-profile players. bound half of them we're going to see in the top 32 again. So it's shaping up to be another tournament for the ages. We have a lot of legends in the venue. With that, guys, we're going to take a shorter break. You know, day 2, those rounds, they tend to be a little bit shorter, or the time in between rounds. So very, very soon, we're going to be back with our feature match for round number 10.